OSU cross country looks to defend their Big 12 title. Cowgirl soccer finished up their home season, and Cowboy football is on the road in Manhattan. We have some special guests joining us on the show. All that and more this week on the Poke Report. And welcome to the Poke Report. I'm Alex Dusky.
And I'm Jace Andrews. We're on the road here in Manhattan, Kansas, the Little Apple.
The OSU Cowboys are taking on the KState Wildcats tomorrow at 2:30, and we will talk plenty about that as the show goes on. But first, we have to talk about the Cowboys' victorious homecoming game last weekend. Jaden Besteta has the recap.
With the help of a sold-out crowd and the spirit of America's greatest homecoming, the nation's brightest orange looked to take down burnt orange, a task that proved difficult, mainly in part to Bijan Robinson's ability to break free at any moment. He scores a 42-yard run to put the Longhorns up 7-3. As soon as they get the ball back, the Cowboys go on a 6-play, 75-yard drive, which ends with a Dominic Richardson touchdown. But the Longhorns have speed for days. Wideout Xavier Worthy and Bijan Robinson scoring back-to-back drives. It took Texas just an average of 1 minute and 30 seconds to achieve. Almost immediately after, Spencer Sanders and the Cowboys marched down the field, giving Richardson the second touchdown of the game, making it 21-17 Longhorns. The next possession for OSU was a promising one, but it gets taken apart by an interception in the end zone, which allows for Rashawn Johnson to get loose for a 52-yard touchdown run, putting Texas up 31-17.
I mean, we really didn't get a break. After we were done coaching on the way out, I said, guys, we didn't get a break in the first half of a 7-point game. I mean, just go out and play. We're going to be fine.
In the second half, the key word for Oklahoma State was defense. They held the Longhorns to just 3 points. After trading a pair of field goals in the third quarter, Sanders finds Brennan Presley for an early fourth quarter touchdown, tying the game up at 34.
I just feel like offense can only score when we let them score. I mean, they can't score on us with better athletes than us, so they have to find plays that we mess up on or find our weaknesses. And you saw that in the second half where we fixed our own. We're just whooping our own butt. So at the end of the day, when we do our job, we can win a lot of ball games.
With a timely 41-yard touchdown reception by Bryson Green, and 2 late interceptions by the defense, including Jason Taylor's second of the game, and the game clincher by Kendall Daniels with 8 seconds left, Oklahoma State outlasts Texas in a nail-biter, giving the crowd a homecoming victory and allowing it to stay firmly in the race for the Big 12 title game. The Cowboys simply made plays when it mattered on both sides of the ball. For the Poke Report, I'm Jaden Besteta.
Thank you, Jaden. I was at that game, and man, it was a good one to be at. Jace, what were your thoughts on last week's game?
Well, it was back and forth throughout the entire game. I really did not know what was going to happen, but I got to say, our defense really stepped up. They didn't have T. Harper, they didn't have Brock Martin, but guess what? 3 points in the second half. They played immaculate and really won us that game.
I'll admit, in the second quarter, I was a little concerned our Cowboys weren't going to come out on top, but they did, and I was right in my prediction.
Yeah, well, with that win, the Cowboys are now 6-1, and they're over halfway through the season. And given that, we got to look at some of the OSU stars in the first half with some mid-season awards. Let's start first with the offensive MVP, Bryson Green. Green has made a name for himself this season for being able to make big plays at any moment during a game. Green leads the Pokes with 417 receiving yards on the season, averaging around 59.5 yards per game and just under 20 yards per catch. Green also has the most touchdown receptions for OSU with 5, and his biggest game so far was just last week when he scorched the Texas defense for 133 yards and scored the game-winning 41-yard touchdown for the Cowboys with just over 3 minutes in the game.
Moving on to the defensive side of the ball, where safety Jason Taylor II takes home the midseason award for Defensive Player. Taylor has been everywhere for the Pokes in his senior season, racking up 52 total tackles, 3 clutch interceptions, and 6 pass breakups through 7 games. 2 of Taylor's interceptions came last week against Texas, as Taylor became the first Cowboy to record multiple interceptions since Colby Harbell-Peel did it against Kansas in 2019.
Time to move on to a newcomer who has made an instant impact in OSU season, freshman running back Ollie Gordon. Gordon has shined with every moment he's been on the field and has accumulated 109 yards on the ground on 20 carries for the Pokes, including 62 yards receiving. Gordon scored his first collegiate touchdown in Week 2 against Arizona State, as his 14-yard touchdown reception put away the Sun Devils and helped OSU start the young season 2-0. Gordon led the Pokes in rushing yards against Arkansas Pine Bluff with 65 yards and also crossed the goal line on a run for the first time.
Let's shift gears and highlight a player looking to make a big jump in the second half of the season. That player, Sean Michael Flanagan. While Flanagan hasn't played much yet, he's had to step up in recent weeks due to injuries to OSU secondary. Flanagan has recorded 32 total tackles, including 11 tackles against TCU. By all accounts, Flanagan is gaining momentum at the right time and will most certainly be a player to keep an eye on for the rest of the season.
We can't forget about our special teams. With a blocked punt return for a touchdown, the Big 12's only kickoff return for a touchdown, and Tanner Brown's back-to-back Big 12 honors, it would be a disgrace to give the special teams anything less than an A+.
Coach Gundy has said in the past that special teams win games, and this season is no different for the Cowboys.
Taking a look at our coordinators, Casey Dunn and Derek Mason, Dunn receives an A-. The Cowboys average just under 45 points a game, including 40-plus points in 3 consecutive games. The offense is getting support from every player and have managed to score despite multiple injuries to the offensive line. The offense has been putting up monster numbers every week.
Defensive coordinator Derek Mason, in his first year, has earned a C+ for his efforts thus far this season. Mason came into the year with a young defensive group after the departure of multiple starters from last season. That inexperience is evident this season, as OSU allows almost 450 yards of total offense per game, and its red zone defense only has 3 stops up until this point. These aren't the numbers that Cowboys fans have grown accustomed to after last season's dominant defense. On the bright side, the Cowboys defense has been a brick wall on third downs and has the 4th lowest opponent conversion percentage in the FBS.
Finally, head coach Mike Gundy receives a B+ midway through the season. Gundy is the proven leader for the Cowboys and has once again led them to a hot start. The major hindrance so far has been OSU's inability to put games away, with the exception of the Cowboys' Week 3 matchup with Arkansas Pine Bluff. It seems every game has come down to the wire and a big play was needed to put games away. It's hard to put too much fault on Gundy's shoulders when the Cowboys have ended up on top more times than not.
Now for the award everyone's been waiting for. OSU's most valuable player midway through the season is quarterback Spencer Sanders. What's there to say about Sanders that hasn't already been said? The play caller has been electric for OSU's offense and has led the team to its 6-1 start to the year. Sanders has tossed 15 touchdowns to only 4 interceptions and has surpassed the 2,000 yards passing mark through 7 games. Sanders is the definition of a dual-threat quarterback, adding another 8 touchdowns and 352 yards to his season. Needless to say, Sanders was a shoo-in for the midseason MVP.
Congratulations to all the players who received awards today, and keep a watch out for those 5 guys to make an impact in tomorrow's game.
All right, we said we would preview tomorrow's matchup, and to do that, we're going to send it to Dylan Taylor with a preview.
On the season, that was today. Sanders has a completion.
Oklahoma State is coming off a big win against the Texas Longhorns heading into this weekend, where they travel to Manhattan to face off against the 22nd ranked Kansas State Wildcats. The matchup will feature 2 of the Big 12's best dual-threat quarterbacks with Spencer Sanders and Adrian Martinez. Sanders exceeds Martinez in the passing game, but it is the ability to be dynamic on the run that both defenses will need to focus on when it comes to stopping these quarterbacks. Martinez is the 2nd leading rusher on the Wildcats behind Deuce Vaughn, but Martinez leads the team in rushing touchdowns with 9. Spencer Sanders is the Cowboys' 2nd leading rusher and is tied for rushing touchdowns on the team with running back Dominic Richardson. The Wildcats defense will be given a great test this weekend with the duality of Sanders' play. Moving over to the defensive side of the ball, where the OSU defense totaled up 3 interceptions against the Texas Longhorns, 2 of which coming from Jason Taylor II and the game-stealing pick from redshirt freshman Kendall Daniels. Daniels impressed head coach Mike Gundy this past weekend with his play and expects his play to improve as time goes on.
Because he's going to do things that are going to wow us before it's all said and done. If he stays humble and if he stays focused and he understands the concept, and I think he will. But he'll make his mistakes. but he's also doing things you're like, ooh, that's pretty good.
The Cowboys will likely be without starting safety Jason Taylor II this week after Taylor suffered an injury on his second interception against Texas on Saturday. This would be a big blow to the Cowboys defense, as Taylor is first in the Big 12 in passes defended and first in the conference with interceptions. The Cowboys will look to guys such as Kendall Daniels, Jabbar Muhammad, and Sean Michael Flanagan to step up big time for the loss of Taylor. Kickoff will be at 2:30 p.m. on Saturday, and you can tune into the game on Fox. For the Poke Report, I'm Dylan Taylor.
Thank you, Dylan. Now, win in Manhattan, do as the Manhattans do, and get a Kansas State journalist to talk about their side for tomorrow's matchup. We are now joined by Jacob Hall, a sports media student out of Kansas State. Jacob.
Thanks, Jace and Alex. The K-State Wildcats are looking to get back in the win column this week after suffering their first conference loss last week at TCU. The Cats are coming into this game with several injuries to key players, including starting quarterback Adrian Martinez, who is a game-time decision against OSU.
Kansas State's not the only team that's beat up. That I know for a fact. Nobody's going to feel sorry for you. It's the next man up mentality, and whoever is out there, we have confidence as a staff, we have confidence as a football team that they're going to allow us and give us an opportunity to be successful.
Backup quarterback Will Howard got the majority of the snaps at quarterback against TCU after Adrian Martinez left the game in the first quarter because of an injury. Head coach Chris Kleiman says he was excited to see Howard playing with confidence.
I think everybody that had any doubts about Will Howard or doubted Will Howard either was like, ooh, maybe I was wrong about that kid. But I know this. I smiled ear to ear for him because he's dealt with a lot of ridicule for a couple years. And he just goes to work.
He says the offense doesn't change that much with Howard on the field.
Well, one's 220 and one's 245. They are able to operate our offense pretty much the same. I don't see Colin making many changes based on who's playing quarterback because they both have a skill set that allows them to run the football.
For Kleiman, he says the team is still aware that they can achieve their season goals.
Everything is still in front of us, but it's all about our preparation, and this is the next opportunity. Now we got 5 one-week seasons left, and we've got a really good Oklahoma State team coming in here to play. And we haven't been at home for a while. So it's going to be kind of fun to be back out at the Bill, but they're well aware of all the circumstances.
In his 4 years in Manhattan, Coach Chris Kleiman has never beaten the Oklahoma State Cowboys, and if Adrian Martinez does not play this Saturday, it will be the 3rd straight year without his starting quarterback. Jace, Alex, back to you.
Thank you, Jacob. We will see you later on in the show for our Big 12 predictions.
We're going to take a quick break now, but don't change the channel just yet, as basketball is just a week away from tip-off, and we'll have our own basketball analyst Tony Wetmore on with us later. Also, one former Cowboy made his jump to the big stage this season. Find out who and how when the Poke Report returns.
The deli department at Homeland is Oklahoma's headquarters for party trays. Enjoy the time with family and friends at your next event, and let your neighborhood Homeland create the perfect fruit, deli, or cheese tray for you. The party planners at Homeland will help you choose the perfect party food, sized just right for your guests. Call us, stop in, or order online, and we'll make it ready for pickup on your schedule. Make your next party special with a party tray from your neighborhood Homeland.
Good to be home, Homeland.
Love these things. Hilarious. I'm sorry. Force of habit.
As long as you are you, it's Miller time.
Hi, it's Sam at Louie's Grill and Bar, here to introduce our new menu items from south of the border. Come try our new poblano chicken tacos, or the ever-popular sriracha shrimp tacos. At Louie's, where you come for the food, but stay for the fun.
It's hard to imagine my life before her, or a day without her. So much of what I take for granted simply wouldn't exist. She is the force that holds our life together. She is my everything, the center of my universe, from Forevermark. The diamond, the promise. Available at Lewis Jewelers.
I'm Randy Heights with 1077 The Franchise, and let me tell you about the HCG diet from New Leaf Wellness and what it's meant to me. Over the last year, I've dropped 90 pounds, and this has been a lifesaver, guys. I'm in a wheelchair, so I can't always get to the gym, and what's been incredible about this diet, when I can't work out, I still lose the weight. 90 pounds in a year is a lot for anyone, but for me, it's been a miracle. Why don't you give New Leaf Wellness Centers a call and see if they can't help you with a free consultation, or go online at newleafcenters.com.
Welcome back to the Poke Report. Like we said, we are in Manhattan, Kansas, covering the OSU versus Kansas State game this weekend, but there are still a lot of other sports that need to be talked about this week.
Exactly. We cannot forget about Cowboy and Cowgirl cross-country teams. The two teams are competing down in Lubbock, defending their Big 12 championship title today. The Cowboys entered the meet ranked 4th in the nation, and the Cowgirls are number 3. We are likely to see many of the same runners from the Cowboy Jamboree in today's race. This will include freshman Natalie Cook, who won individual first place in her first collegiate race at the Jamboree in Stillwater, and Taylor Rowe, who won the individual national championship last season and finished 2nd at the Jamboree. For the Cowboys, we may likely see Acai Rodriguez run his first race of the season after being injured in a car crash in the spring. Alex Mayer and Victor Shitsama will also be running. Mayer won individual first place, and Shitsama finished 3rd in the Cowboy Jamboree. The women's race started at 10 a.m. this morning, and the men's followed shortly after, and both of these races are airing on ESPN+. You can also check out Run for KState on Twitter for more updates.
We are now going to shift over to the hardwood as both OSU men and women teams are ready to begin their 2022-2023 season. Tony Wetmore, our basketball analyst, joins us now to talk more about the upcoming season.
Thanks, Alex and Jace. Both our men's and women's basketball teams are set to start up their seasons next week. Men's players Keon Williams and Woody Newton spoke to the media this week, and Newton spoke on the improvements the team has made over the summer and the fall, especially when it comes to three-pointers and scoring in general. On the women's side, Coach Jace Hoyt said this is the first week she can confidently say that things are really starting to come together as the team starts to click and gel. In her first season with the Cowgirls, she was looking to measure the team's success based on getting better game in and game out. She said the season can't come soon enough, and they're ready to get out there and play against someone other than themselves. I can't believe that it's already basketball season, but I'm so excited to watch both of our teams compete. Back to you guys.
Thank you, Tony. We will see you later in the show for our Big 12 predictions.
Swinging on over to tennis, the Cowgirls are nearing the end of their fall season, but they are preparing for the Big 12 Fall Invite next weekend. The Cowgirls are hosting this tournament, which will take place November 4th through the 6th and will be the fall finale for the team. Throughout the last month, the Cowgirls have competed all over the country, including trips to Lubbock, Texas, San Francisco, California, and Cary, North Carolina. Sophomore Sofia Rojas had an impressive fall, making deep runs in each of the last of her 2 tournaments. First, Rojas took home the singles trophy at the ITA Intercollegiate Championships, upsetting the top seed in the semifinals on the way to her title. Then, as the 11th seed, she made a semifinal run at the ITA Central Regional Championships in Stillwater by beating the 3rd seed in the quarterfinal.
Another Cowgirl making noise this fall was Alana Wolfberg. The senior played well at the ITA Women's Intercollegiate Championships in San Diego, making a quarterfinal run while upsetting 2 top 10 seeds in the process. Wolfberg built on that by joining Rojas in the semifinals of the ITA Central Regional Championship, making it 2 hometown Cowgirls in the tournament's Final 4.
In doubles action, top-seeded duo Ayumi Miyamoto and Christina Novak were narrowly upset in the quarterfinals of the ITA Central Regional Championship in Stillwater. 3rd seed pair Alana Wolfberg and Raquel Gonzalez also fell in the quarterfinals. The Cowgirls have momentum going into the Big 12 Fall Invite, and they have momentum into the winter months looking for a win. Be sure to follow Cowgirl Tennis on Twitter for updates.
Another Cowgirl team is nearing the end of their season. Soccer had their final home game this past week. Adam Engel has the recap for us.
A windy Neil Patterson Stadium, the site of OSU Senior Day. Cowgirls looking for their second win of October, but 23rd ranked Texas seeking to spoil the Senior Day festivities. Longhorns dominating possession in the first half, a few scoring opportunities early on, but goal kick after goal kick after goal kick. 29 minutes in, Longhorn sophomore Jilly Shimkin sneaks one past OSU keeper Jordan Knights. Shimkin's sixth goal of the season makes it 1-0. Cowgirls with a few opportunities after the halftime break, but Trinity Byers lifts Texas to a 2-goal lead. OSU finally gets on the board in the 78th minute with a blast from Xcaret Pineda. Things getting interesting in the last second of the match. Texas's Ashlyn Miller with the red card after she fouls before the free kick. That sets up one last chance for the Cowgirls, but nothing doing. Texas wins 2-1.
First half, we didn't have many looks, but second half, that first 10 minutes, I think we had 4 good chances to score. And I think if we buried one of them, it's a different game.
Despite the loss, senior midfielder Grace Yoakum says she loves playing in front of the OSU fans.
It's truly been the best experience of my life, and I've loved every minute of it. I feel like I just got here. I can't believe I'm here. But it's been nothing short of amazing.
OSU begins play in the Big 12 tournament this weekend. For Poke Report, I'm Adam Engel.
Thank you, Adam. The Cowgirls start tournament action on Sunday. Be sure to follow along with all the action on Cowgirl FC at Twitter and come out to Neil Patterson Stadium if there are any home playoff games.
We're going to take one more quick break, but don't go away. We've said all season that the Big 12 is a crazy conference. How did the teams do last weekend, and what should fans expect this weekend? We will have the recap and 2 very special guests joining us for our predictions. All that and more when the Poke Report returns.
I want to show you something. This is the money we could save by switching from fresh packed California crushed tomatoes to concentrated tomato paste.
I want to show you something too. I got a new door. Go take a look at it.
Nobody uses better ingredients than Little Caesars. Like fresh-packed California crushed tomatoes. Pick up a large, deep dish for just $8.
Pizza. Introducing Lincoln Black Label at Diffie Ford Lincoln. Designed to impress those with impeccable taste, Lincoln Black Label features a collection of interior themes and a host of exclusive membership privileges inspired by attention to detail and a love of automobiles. With Lincoln Black Label, you'll enjoy an extended premium maintenance plan that covers wear items or even remote vehicle delivery. Lincoln Black Label isn't about luxury ownership, it's about membership. Lincoln Black Label, exclusively at Diffie Ford Lincoln.
At ASAP Energy, our goal is to provide the best customer service for whatever our clients need.
My relationship with ASAP Energy came about in 2007. I was wanting to build a convenience store. I didn't know how to do it. I'd never been in the business. I just felt comfortable with Rick. And so I knew that I wanted to do business with a guy like that. Integrity, loyalty, and family. I would recommend that to anybody. Thanks for taking a chance on me.
At ASAP Energy, everything matters.
Where were you born? It's a question asked all the time. Because where you're from shapes who you are, inspires how you do things. And when that inspiration comes from a place this refreshing, this majestic, this... well, you get the idea. Coors Light, born in the Rockies.
Welcome back to the Poke Report. If you've ever been to an OSU home game, you know we always honor our pro pokes. Oklahoma State football has a long history of playmakers in the National Football League. From back in the day with Barry and Thurman to more recently with Des Bryant, the Cowboys continue to produce NFL caliber prospects. Currently, 21 pokes are on NFL rosters and some are making impact plays every given Sunday.
After going undrafted, running back Jaylen Warren has caught the attention of many not only in Pittsburgh, but across the league. Hopes are high in Pittsburgh right now with the level of talent Warren has displayed so far in his short career, and stats like these will only warrant more carries for the former Cowboy.
Warren isn't the only recent Cowboy running back making waves in the NFL. Chuba Hubbard is getting a huge chance in Carolina with the recent trade of All-Pro running back Christian McCaffrey. In the first game without McCaffrey, Hubbard scored his first touchdown of the season while rushing 9 times for 63 yards in a win over the Bucs.
The final pro poke we want to mention is Malcolm Rodriguez, or as the Detroit Lion faithful have named him, Rodrigo. Tony knows more than just basketball, and she's got the story now.
Former Cowboy football player Malcolm Rodriguez went from playing on the big stage in the Big 12 to the biggest stage in the NFL. Rodriguez was drafted 188th in the 2022 NFL Draft by the Detroit Lions. Entering Week 8 of his rookie season, Rodriguez has already started finding success in his career. Rodriguez credits his time at OSU in helping prepare him for this opportunity.
The coaching staff, Coach Glass and Coach Gundy, they just get you prepared, mentally and physically for the next level. So Oklahoma State's always been like that, and Coach Glass is the best in the business at doing that.
Rodriguez played a large leadership role in his time in Stillwater, and his departure to play at the next level only expands this. Younger players such as sophomore defensive end Colin Oliver see Rodriguez's success and use it to motivate themselves as well.
Very big role model to me. I love being around him. God taught me a lot about football and about being a good person, so, I love him for that.
And Rodriguez understands his impact on his former teammates as well.
It just shows, just come in and work, man. That's all I've always done, come in and work and just, get your ball out. That's all, the system they put in there, it's able for linebackers to fly around and ball out.
It's hard to believe that just a year ago, Rodriguez was a student here at Oklahoma State alongside myself and my peers. His teammates can agree.
It's crazier seeing him in Madden than anything, Seeing him on TV seems kind of normal, but, in Madden, it's real surreal.
Cowboy fans can look forward to cheering on Rodriguez as he continues to find success in his football career. For the Poke Report, I'm Tony Wetmore.
Thank you, Tony. And Alex, I don't know about you, but I love seeing our pro pokes playing on Sundays.
Oh, for sure. Hearing the announcers say that they went to Oklahoma State University, and I can think back to 1 or 2 years ago seeing them play at Boone Pickens Stadium, it's great.
Well, as per usual, we got to go through some of the past week's Big 12 games. Starting down in Fort Worth, the TCU Horned Frogs took on the Kansas State Wildcats. Although Adrian Martinez started this game as quarterback, he only lasted 1 series before getting taken out due to injury. The backup Will Howard came in and led the Wildcats to 4 straight touchdown drives, with Howard accounting for 3 of those touchdowns. This offensive explosion put K-State up 28-17 at the half, but similarly to Oklahoma State against TCU, the second half did not go well. The Horned Frogs scored on their first 2 drives out of the locker room and took the lead and did not look back as they held the Wildcats scoreless in the second half, getting the victory 38-28.
Traveling down I-35 to Waco, the Baylor Bears and Kansas Jayhawks were looking to get back in the win column as both teams had a 2-game losing streak coming into the matchup. Baylor was in control, scoring on 4 of their 6 drives in the first half to give themselves a commanding 28-3 lead. The Jayhawks would fight back a little, with Jason Bean leading his Jayhawks on 3 straight scoring drives, but ultimately it's Baylor who came up on top 35-23, giving Kansas their 3rd straight loss.
Let's take a look at the Big 12 standings. TCU sits comfortably atop the conference at 4-0, with both Oklahoma State and Kansas State right behind them at 3-1 as they come into a pivotal matchup against each other. Texas is 4th in the conference at 3-2, and both Baylor and Texas Tech are 2-2, with the Jayhawks right behind them at 2-3. Rounding out the bottom, we have OU and West Virginia having 1 win in the conference play, and then Iowa State is still looking for their first conference win.
Maybe Iowa State will get their first Big 12 win this season, this weekend. And I think that's a good way to segue into our predictions.
Yep, and we told you we'd be joined by a special guest, and here he is. We're going to welcome Jacob Hall from Kansas State. How you doing?
Good, how are you? Thank you for having me.
We're great to be right here in front of Bill Snyder Stadium, Bill Family Snyder Stadium.
I have to say it. Not as good as Boone Pickens, though. Sorry about that.
I'll have to disagree, but personal opinion.
Maybe come down to Stillwater one time.
All right, well, let's start off with the other purple team in the Big 12, 7th ranked and undefeated TCU. They are traveling to Morgantown to take on the West Virginia Mountaineers, which is a scary place to play in the Big 12. Jacob, why don't you start us off with who you think's winning this one?
I think TCU wins that game. Obviously, like you guys have talked about, TCU beat us last week. Down in Fort Worth, it was a crazy game. We were up 28-10 at one point, but that offense, I think, is just too much. I think they get the win there and then improve. Top 10 team in the country, I think they keep it rolling down there.
I agree with you. I will say West Virginia is a really, really tough place to play. Baylor knows that better than anybody else, getting upset there, but I do think TCU comes out alive. I said they win by about 7 points, though.
I agree that TCU will be coming out on top. They'll survive Morgantown. I don't think that the noise can rattle the Horned Frogs. Tony, what are your thoughts for this game?
I have TCU taking this one over West Virginia. The Horned Frogs have been rolling lately on offense, and I don't think the Mountaineers will stop them.
Moving on to another scary road game in the Big 12, Ames, Iowa. The Oklahoma Sooners are traveling up to face off the Iowa State Cyclones. Jace, what do you think about this one?
Well, it's a tough one because obviously I'm Oklahoma State. I don't want OU to win, but I just don't think Iowa State has the firepower for that. Hunter Deckers looks great, but Breece Hall and Brock Purdy were something else, and when you lose both those guys, you don't really have a shot against OU, so I think OU is going to come out on top on this one.
Jacob?
I'm going to disagree with you.
Okay.
Iowa State in that game. K-State played there a couple of weeks ago, scored 10 points. Won the game, but still scored 10 points. They got one of the best defenses in America. Yes, they lost Brock Purdy and Breece Hall, but I still think they do enough to win against Oklahoma.
I'm going with you, Jacob. I think Iowa State will get their first conference win this weekend, and of course, I always want OU to lose, so why not have it to the Cyclones?
Maybe Tony can back me up.
I have Iowa State taking this one against Oklahoma. It's a home field advantage in Ames this weekend with a crowd that will bring the energy. They haven't finished their past couple of games, but I think that this one they will.
All right, thank you, Tony. You know, I think the three of us will get a prediction win for that Iowa State game for sure.
Hey, you know, if you're not first, you're last, and I'm about to be first. So.
All right, the night game for the Big 12. The Baylor Bears traveling to Lubbock to take on the Red Raiders. Jace, start us off.
Well, first of all, I don't know why this is the night game. I really think this game should be, but, you know, it happens. Baylor doing well. They have Blake Shapen back and seems to be in full force after taking a big hit in Morgantown. I do think that Texas Tech comes out of here with the win, though.
Ooh.
I think Joey McGuire, it's his first year facing off against his former team, head coach Texas Tech. He's already beaten Texas. Why not beat another Texas team?
Jacob?
And I agree with you there, and like the last decision, it's like not so fast, but no, I agree with you. I do think Texas Tech wins that game. They're at home, so I think that's also a really big thing there. And again, Joey McGuire, I really like what he's doing down there in year one at Texas Tech.
All right, Tony, who do you have win Baylor, Texas Tech?
I have Texas Tech taking this one. The Baylor Bears will be on the road in Lubbock for this game, and I think that Tech will take the home field advantage as well and come out on top.
I'm going to go with the Bears. I know they're just coming off of that win last week, and I think that they're continued that momentum into this game against the Red Raiders. All right, the final Big 12 game, of course, the OSU Cowboys versus the Kansas State Wildcats, a 2:30 p.m. kickoff tomorrow right here behind us at Bill Snyder Family Memorial Stadium. The Wildcats, they are favored by 1.5 points. Jacob, what do you think about this game?
I'm going to say K-State wins the football game. I don't think Adrian Martinez plays. I think it's Will Howard. And last week, Will Howard against TCU had the best game he's ever played. You know, I feel like he got thrown into the fire his freshman year during the COVID season. He really wasn't ready, but to play major D1 football as an 18-year-old kid, not a lot of people are, right? So I definitely think he's getting better, and he showed that last week. I think he fired a couple of really nice passes. Cade Warner played a heck of a game, and I think it's a team effort. I think K-State wins. I'm going to say 34-24.
All right, Jace?
I'm going to have to disagree with you. I think Oklahoma State does win the game, although I do agree Will Howard doesn't get enough credit. That kid came in here and was freshman, played a lot. I mean, that's really, really talented player right there. And then having to skip behind Skylar Thompson last year, and now you got Adrian Martinez, the transfer. But I do think Oklahoma State comes out on top. Really, the only threat that I think it's going to be tough for Oklahoma State to stop is Deuce Vaughn. That guy is something else. And we saw what Bijan did to our Cowboys last week. I'm scared Deuce may do the same thing, but I got the Cowboys winning this one 35-28.
All right, Tony, what are your thoughts?
I have our Cowboys coming out on top against the Kansas State Wildcats. I think it's going to be a pretty close game, not as close as this past game, but also not as high scoring. So I would say 34-24 is my score prediction.
I'm going with our Cowboys coming out on top. Now, Jacob, you had the Wildcats winning by 10. I have our Cowboys winning by 10, 31-21. Now, Asa was not able to join us today, but he has TCU, OU, Baylor, and OSU coming out on top tomorrow. So we will see who is right. That'll do it for the Poke Report today. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Alex Dusky.
I'm Jacob Hall.
And I'm Jace Andrews as the Poke Report signs off from Manhattan, Kansas. And as always,
go Pokes!